All right. So today is January 29th, 2025. My name is Amy Croto. I am the hearing officer assigned to today's hearing. Today we are here based on a hearing request from Attorney Daniel Creedon. States here received on December 18th, 2024. Dear Mr. Els, please accept this correspondence as my above referenced client's request for a hearing to consider their request for a commercial kennel license pursuant to section 403-5 of the town code at their above referenced business location. In support of this request, my client has received both site plan review approval and a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals, which are prerequisites under 403-5 for town manager consideration. Thank you for your kind attention to this matter. In response, December 27th, a letter was sent to Attorney Creedon from Office Manager for the Town Manager, Tracy Smith. Dear Attorney Creedon, enclosed, please find the hearing notice for the kennel license for Cape Club Canine Inc. on January 29th, 2025 at 10 a.m. via Zoom. The Zoom information is on the hearing notice, which is enclosed. This notice will be advertised in the newspaper on Friday, January 3rd, 2025, and then to call the town manager's office if you had any questions. Very quickly, I will just share that notice of public hearing, which was posted on the town calendar ahead of today. So we have, I'll read into the record, 403-5 pertaining to commercial kennel licenses. This was amended Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. It states kennel maintained as a business for the day and or night boarding of dogs, or which sells dogs born on the premises for more than 2 litters per year must secure a kennel license. Such license shall be kept in a form prescribed by the town manager and issued by the town clerk. Such license shall be in lieu of any other license for any dog while kept at such kennel during any portion of the period for which such kennel license is issued. The holder of a license for a kennel shall cause each dog kept therein to wear, while it is at large, a collar or harness of leather or other suitable material, to which shall be securely attached a tag upon which shall appear the number of such kennel license, the year of issue, and the inscription Barnstable. Such tags shall be in a form prescribed by the town manager and issued by the town clerk. In order to obtain a kennel license, the applicant must apply to site plan review and then to the Zoning Board of Appeals to see if the property meets the requirements of section 240-27 Service and Distribution District, and if so, under subsection C, conditional uses, subsection C2, kennel subject to section 240-125C, the Zoning Board of Appeals would grant a special permit. Once a special permit is obtained, then the town manager or their designee shall hold a public hearing and may impose conditions or restrictions as he or she may seem necessary for the public good, since kennels are considered as commercial use and not allowed under section 240-46 home occupation. Upon approval, the manager or their designee will forward a notification to the town clerk for the license, and payment of the annual fee is defined in subsection D below. Failure of the Zoning Board of Appeals to issue a special permit as required under Chapter 240 zoning will cause a kennel license not to be issued at such location by the town clerk. The annual fee for a kennel license shall be $100. The license period for a kennel license shall be from January 1 to the following December 31 inclusive. The name and address of the owner of each dog kept in any kennel, if other than the person maintaining the kennel, shall be kept on file thereat and available for inspection by any authorized agent of the town manager. The town clerk shall, upon application, issue without charge a kennel license to any domestic charitable corporation incorporated exclusively for the purpose of protecting animals from cruelty, neglect, or abuse, and for the relief of suffering among animals. A veterinary hospital shall not be considered a kennel unless it contains an area for the selling or boarding of dogs for other than medical purposes, in which case it shall apply for a kennel license. Failure to obtain or keep the kennel license will result in a fine of $100 per day. Each day will be considered a separate offense. So at this time, I'd like to swear in anyone providing testimony. So if you could just raise your right hand, and Kamaya, if you could just unmute yourself for a moment.
Did that work?
Yep, you're good. So any individual who would be providing testimony at this hearing, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the evidence you're about to give in this matter is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. So first I'll hear from Attorney Creedon and Kamaya, and then we'll hear from the animal control officer. And then at the end of hearing what everyone has to say, a recommendation will be forwarded to the town manager.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Hearing Officer. For the record, Dan Creedon on behalf of Cape Club Canine, Inc. This is my client's application for a commercial kennel license under section 403-5 of the town code for the location that they currently rent at 30 Perseverance Way, Unit 7 in Hyannis, which is located in the industrial zoning district. The property is comprised of 2,950 square feet. It is a condominium unit at that location. We have received the authority of the owner of the unit to present the various applications that we have presented thus far. I suggest that the location is suitable for a commercial kennel license, given the fact that it's in an industrial zone. There are no residential properties in the vicinity of it. And this use has been established there for quite some time, going back all the way to as early as 2008. There was a prior owner and operator there under the name Whiskers Pet Grooming. At some point thereafter, the business was sold to an operator. We're not sure which year that happened, but sometime between 2008 and now, Whiskers Pet Grooming sold to Coda's Place. And as of just over a year ago, in December of 23, my client purchased the business from Coda's Place and began operating a day kennel there. I suggest that my client has met the requirements of 403 Section 5. They've been to site plan review, received site plan review approval, went next to the Zoning Board of Appeals, obtained a conditional use special permit. One of the results of that hearing was that one of the conditions was modified, which had imposed a limitation of only day kenneling to include day and overnight kenneling, which is my client's intention and desire to operate their business there with both day and night boarding of dogs. And we're here today to present the application for, which would be the last stop, having met the two prior requirements under 403.5, the special permit review approval and the special permit, site plan review approval and the special permit, conditionally used special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals, to present to the town manager and his designee this application, and we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Kamaya, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think that's good.
All right, excellent. I'm going to turn it over to Senior Animal Control Officer Charles Lewis.
Good morning. I would just like to point out that as of December of this year, the governor instituted a new regulation on killing of dogs and training areas. The number of dogs that are going to be permitted on any premise has to be determined by the animal control officer. There are several other regulations that are going to come into play with these, many of which have not been set up yet. There is a committee timeline. The committee's got to be formed by the March 19th of this year, and it has to have the regulations in place by June of 26. And at that time, we could have some alterations to all of the commercial kennels in town. So keeping that in mind, I obviously have no problem with this facility operating overnight care. I do wish to say, though, that we need to establish the fire plan that is okayed by the fire department, which I believe is Barnstable Village, that covers that. And I would also suggest that there'll be no free roaming dogs at night within the building, that they would have to be kenneled in a suitable structure. Many people would say a cage. I don't particularly like that term, but we do have to work together to come up with that. And I know that the Zoning Board of Appeals put a 6-dog limit on the overnight. But with this new Ollie's law that was passed, there will be some problems with the number of dogs during the day in all of the kennels that we have in town here. So again, I think it would be best if the kennel operator and myself and other interested parties get together and talk about the fire plan and also, the kenneling of the dogs overnight in a suitable structure. As a matter of course, under the current law, state-wise, I have to do a kennel inspection every year prior to renewing or issuing of any kennel. So that has not been done yet because I was just waiting for the hearing to take place and that we would set up a time and place to do do that on location. That's all I have.
Okay, great. And just for ease of people who may be tuning in, I did share with my screen the Ollie's law guidance for animal control officers and shelters/rescues, which on page 2 does show the timeline and that the bill was signed in September of 2024, that it will take effect at the end, December 19th, 2024, that the committee be formed by March 19th of this year. Municipalities must send a kennel list to MDR by June 1st, 2025. MDR reports to legislature by July 1st, 2025. Regulations slated to be completed by June of 2026, with the committee sunsetting at the end of the year 2026. At this time, Attorney Creedon or Kamaya, do you have anything else you'd like to add? It sounds like this is pretty straightforward in terms of moving forward, as long as there's a meeting regarding the structures for overnight kenneling, making sure that there aren't any dogs that are roaming at large around the business, and then a fire plan that's approved by the fire department.
Yeah, those conditions sound, and I'll allow my client to also contribute if she prefers, but certainly we had discussed a plan for fire response and safety with the zoning board, which there's going to be there is in place already monitoring, and so certainly that's an acceptable condition for sure. It only makes good common sense to be able to make sure that the animals are protected and have a way to get out and evacuate if there is a fire emergency. And I just wanted to try to clarify in the no free roaming dogs. I have been to the site, and it is there are a number of structural partitions that can be opened and closed as needed to sort of kennel in the dogs into restricted areas within which they have to stay. And I'm certainly, I have no problem with the condition. I'm just suggesting that perhaps some of those are smaller and they do really confine dogs to separate areas, and the way it's configured is to provide maximum flexibility, depending on the temperament of the dogs that are being kenneled and whether some dogs are okay being with other dogs in a confined space. And then from time to time, there's a dog that doesn't necessarily, quote unquote, play nice with the other dogs and needs to be segregated off. So I'm wondering if those sort of partitions that exist within the current configuration of the space would suffice for complying with that condition, that there be no free roaming dogs about the property on an overnight basis.
That's quite possible. I would have to look at them to make certain. My biggest fear is that if should there be a fire and someone going in, if all of a sudden there's 5 dogs at the door, the fire department people can't get in.
Right.
Or if they're restricted, I've worked with fire departments and they know how to go to a kennel, open it, or tie something off if the dog is aggressive and go to the next one, and then go back in afterwards with perhaps a catch pole that I now hopefully will be on scene to be able to litigate and help with that situation. But just to have, say, 5 dogs that are loose in an area and they all come up to the door is just not acceptable in any
Yeah, and we
situation.
sure we could develop that further as part of the fire plan to say, you know, just designate in advance in terms of overnight. This is where, if anyone comes to the property during an emergency, this is where they will be able to find the dogs. This is where they'll be kept.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So unless Senior ACO Lewis has anything else to say, this is pretty straightforward with a couple of conditions and, you know, meeting with the animal control officer, which would happen for an inspection anyway. We can forward the recommendation on to the town manager, and then you should be hearing from him. It's usually within like a week to a week and a half business time.
Okay.
Unless anyone else has any other questions or concerns to raise, I can close the hearing. It is now 10:22. Thank you all very much for your time.